Hello everyone. Currently I don't have an audience just because of a full-time job that I work, and I wasn't able to hop on the Zoom meeting, and so unfortunately I won't have an audience today. I apologize about that and just wasn't able to rearrange and work with that. But yeah, so right now my speech will be about the complications of um, all things college in terms of financial um, cuts being made. So yeah, so my opening right now is imagine arriving on campus this semester and only to find your favorite lab closed, staff positions eliminated, or your scholarships under threat. Across U.S. Colleges and universities, federal budget cuts are forcing universities into tough choices to make. And so they have to make tough choices, threatening educational quality, job security, and student support. Um, I've drawn on a credible source, KUOW, reporting higher ed drive slash ACE is the credible source for this, and local university reports come to say that these cuts are playing out on the campuses, like they're actually happening, not just uh, being said on a political level. They're actually happening, and they're seeing firsthand source of this. And so today I'll explain what's happening, what these sources are saying, and where they disagree and agree. So my first main point would be the description of the event and its significance. So this fall, many universities are grappling with major reductions in federal support and research funding, triggering layoffs, program cuts, and hiring freezes. For example, in the Seattle area, institutions are bracing for cuts that may trim one-third of federal grant funding, potentially endanger more than 1,700 full-time jobs. And so that's a big, major cut with jobs and funding into what's important of education at universities. These changes aren't theoretical. Students returning to campuses are seeing tightened budgets, reduced course offerings, and fewer teaching assistants or support staff. And so based off this first piece of credible source that I have, I think it relates to so much of us as students and many other peers of what we could be seeing, or maybe hear, what we hear. We may not face it or see it the most, but it is a big and major issue that I wanted to discuss that can relate to so many others, just to be mindful and aware of. The second point were the three credible sources that reported this in the KUOW. It's a local journalism website. The KUOW story describes how Seattle colleges and the University of Washington are feeling the strain, noting the projected cuts to federal research and to research grants and the potential job losses tied to them. The higher ed ACE education news outlets have reported that they have discussed broader themes like federal budget, proposals reducing higher education funding, warnings from universities nationwide about declining grant revenue and the ripple effects on institutional operations. And so this is a discussion and credible sources of the real, like I said, the firsthand, experience and firsthand event of seeing all this come into fruition and come out to play. University campuses reports, press releases. This is just straight up from what we've seen nationwide and to how it's happening in real time. And it says individual universities are beginning to document program eliminations, hiring freezes, and staff reductions as they adjust their operating budgets in light of a reduced, basically, external funding. And so those are the three credible sources that are firsthand sources to see all of this and to see this major change and this major issue to maybe some, or to maybe others not. And so, where the sources agree and differ, so the agrees and disagrees. So how they go about this. The agreement, all sources concur that the federal funding cuts are putting real pressure on universities, especially research institutions that rely heavily on grants, job losses, and program shrinkage. Operational constraints are appearing across multiple campuses. So that's the agreement of this, that they're seeing this, and they can agree that this has really put a strain on the complete operation of a college campus and how the college operates. What local reportings like the KUOW adds, it gives concrete numbers. Basically, the 1/3 cut, or the 1,700 full-time jobs that are endangered. Those can be the agreements to that. Like, this is what's happening. It shows immediate local impact for students and employees in a specific region. And so we see that in the northwest of our nation, in Washington. This is really happening in real time, like I have said. And we're looking through the number aspect of it, seeing that 1,700 full-time jobs and a 1/3 cut decrease is occurring. What higher trend sources add is they place the Seattle example in a national context, showing that these funding challenges are widespread and linked to federal policy decisions. They may also show projections, commentary from experts, and comparison among states. And so we're using this example in Washington to exemplify what's really happening and what's happening to us personally, and what could be, not saying the state of Colorado that we are facing this, but just other states that are, and just to be mindful and vigilant of what's going on. What institutional reports have added, they bring internal detail, more contextual detail to all this. What programs are being cut, how staffs are being, so some questions like how's this playing out? What programs are being cut? So throughout all this, which ones are being cut, how staffs are being affected, and how students might see differences in classes, facilities, or research opportunities. So personally, I am online, but if someone is online that is seeing this, they can see it in real time of an online student, how the program that they're wanting to go into can be affected by funding cuts. And so my closing to all of this is, in summary, across U.S. colleges this semester, federal budget cuts and declining grant funding are putting serious stress on educational institutions, affecting staffing, programs, and the student experience. From local reporting like the credible sources I have given, like KUOW, to broader higher education analysis, to university statements, the story is consistent, and it still will be. Universities now face real decisions about what to cut and whom to affect. For students, these cuts may change your classroom dynamic or options, research opportunities, or support services. The strongest way to respond is being informed and be vigilant and be mindful of what's going on. Know which programs are vulnerable. Ask your student government or administration of what's at risk, and advocate, because higher education is under pressure and your voice matters. And to encapsulate all this is just to be said that yes, we may not be facing this on a first-hand level, but to be mindful and to gain greater knowledge of what's going on. And so to me, it was important because I never knew this was going on, and I never knew that this was occurring. But it's important because the programs that I'm wanting to get into can be deemed at risk. And so I think it can relate to so many students to be mindful and to know what could potentially happen, or potentially know the risks and stuff of what's going on. So that's my speech. And of course, I do apologize for not having an audience. I did not have the opportunity to get on the Zoom meeting, and I have a full-time job that I was in overtime with this week, so I wasn't able to gain an audience, unfortunately. But yeah.